Olá a todos! I am getting started. It's 5:30. Actually, it's like 5:29, but I'm literally so excited that I can't wait any longer. So I'm going to get started. So give me a yes in the comments, in the chat, if this is all working and you can hear me okay and you are here and excited for this awesome interview that I'm doing with one of my students. Let me know. I know that there's few seconds delay on these things. So now the yeses are rolling in. Okay, fantastic. Good stuff. So hello and welcome to everyone. And thank you so much for joining me. It's a really special interview. It's actually the first time that I'm sitting down with one of my students from the Portuguese Pro program. We're going to talk all about her journey, how she got started, where she is now, and also how she got there, because we really want to inspire as many of you guys as possible to take the leap and start learning Portuguese, because it really is going to make such a difference to your day-to-day life in Portugal, as you will see by Emil's story that you're about to find out. So if you're tuning in, you probably already know who I am. I am Liz, and I'm the host of the YouTube channel Talk the Streets that teaches practical Portuguese in plain English. And I'm also the creator of the Portuguese Pro program, which is an online course and community that will take you from saying your very first words up to holding your first conversations with native speakers. And that is how I met Emil, one of my star students that I can't wait for you to meet. So let's go ahead and add her to the stream so we can hear her story. Hello, Emil.
Hello, hi everybody.
It's so great to get to chat to you. This is so exciting, and I'm so grateful for you for doing this for me. You look fantastic. So let's go ahead and get started. Start by telling us who you are. I know who you are, but the guys watching at home don't know, and why it is that you wanted to learn Portuguese.
So, my name's Emil, and I'm a mom of 3 young adult children, married, and we live on an island off the coast of Seattle, Washington. Um, and our kids are out of the house now, and it's always been a dream of my husband's to spend more time in Europe. He's spent quite a bit of time there over the last decade, and he loves it over there. And so when we had the opportunity to look at relocating, at least spending a good portion of the year over there, we looked at Portugal. And then, of course, comes the question, but we don't speak Portuguese. So that became kind of a quest for me on what's the best way to learn a language now, because when I was growing up in school, we were given books and you learned how to say the boy went to school. And I never say the boy went to school. So
Right.
that's how we got started on this journey.
Okay. So you were in a place where you were looking at Portugal, you fell in love like so many people do, but not speaking the language was a bit of a scary sticking point. Okay, so that's what you decided to tackle next. So that's what we're going to dive into next. I think your image has frozen.
It has.
So do you want to jump out and jump in again?
Yeah, I'll jump out and I'll come right back.
No problem. So maybe some of you can already relate to this story. Like, tell me in the comments, are you moving to Portugal? Are you already living here? Where are you? And did you have that same feeling when you were first looking at Portugal, thinking, well, I'd really like to go, but I don't speak the language? Because this is one of the questions I'm asked most often. Is it necessary to speak Portuguese? And the truth is, it really is going to make a big difference to your day-to-day life if you can do it. So that's why obviously I recommend it. So we've got Emil back. Fantastic. Now we can see you in motion. So you were worried because you didn't speak a word of Portuguese. Had you even learned any other languages before?
No.
Okay.
No. I'm not a linguist. I had absolutely, I took a little bit of French in school when I was young. But, if you don't use it, you lose it.
Right.
So anyhow, no, I only speak English, and I didn't have a lick of it.
Okay. So how did you feel about the prospect of learning? Were you confident? Were you kind of daunted? What were you feeling about the whole process? Because I know that you're a little bit of a perfectionist.
Just a little bit. So my husband and I are doing this together,
Mhm.
and we have very, very different learning techniques that work for us. So first off, to find a program that would work for two totally different types of learners, that was in itself kind of a question in my mind if we could find something like that. Um, and I am a perfectionist, so to the point where it can stop me from moving forward.
Mhm.
And I was worried that I would be so worried about saying something wrong that I just wouldn't say anything. And to get me to actually speak Portuguese to a Portuguese speaker, that was going to be a ginormous hurdle for me. Uh,
Mhm.
However, I did not find that to be the case after.
Okay, so let's fast forward then. So you were
Okay.
starting, you'd never spoken another language, spoke zero Portuguese. You were such a perfectionist. You were like, I really can't see myself ever actually speaking to a person because I'll be so scared of getting it wrong. But let's fast forward to today. You come to Portugal quite a lot. I actually got to meet you in person a few weeks ago. Now, when you're in Portugal, what are you able to do in your day-to-day life?
Liz, I can get around. I,
Yes.
I can I can get around the city. I can take cabs. I can get directions. I can order in restaurants. I can ask questions. I I navigated a hospital last
Oh
month.
gosh, yeah, that was
Um,
quite a story. Can you share a little bit of that? I know it's quite traumatic because it was a stressful time, but I was amazed when I met up with you in person a few weeks ago, and obviously you had this knee injury, and you were like, "Oh yeah, I did the whole thing in Portuguese."
yeah. It's amazing when your stress level is high, and my adrenaline was rushing, and I was in a bit of shock, and I needed to get to the hospital. To give a quick background, we were heading down the stairs of our building, and I know that there's 7 stairs, and the light was at medium light where it wasn't dark enough to turn on the lights, but it wasn't light enough to really be able to see. And my girlfriend completely missed the bottom step, and I was about 2 or
Mm,
3 steps behind her, and she went flying backwards into me, and what I thought was a swollen knee is a broken leg.
oh,
So I called my friend Mafalda,
mhm.
uh, and I think there's probably a photo of her that's gonna show up on this at
Yeah,
some point.
yeah, we'll be meeting with Folder in a bit.
Yeah, so I called my friend Mafalda and somehow said, "I need to get to a hospital. I don't know where to go. Can you please, um, text me what to do?" And she had it right over to me. We got into a cab. The cab driver did not speak any English, and I was able to tell him, what the address was, where I was going. I needed to go to the emergency department, and how long is it going to take to get there. And I did all
Mhm.
of that in Portuguese. And he answered, and I understood him, which the Portuguese speaks so quickly that's my
Mhm.
biggest challenge is actually understanding the words that I know, but when they are said so quickly and smushed together, um, that's where, I'm still learning every day. But the people in the hospital, a lot of people in Lisbon do speak a little bit of English. So
Mhm.
when we decided to start our lives in Portugal, starting in Lisbon was a great option because as we were becoming more confident in Portuguese, we also had the safety net of a lot of people who already speak English, but we tried not to speak English when we're there.
Great. Yeah, because this is one of the questions I get asked a lot. Is it necessary? And the truth is, okay, it's not 100% life or death necessary, but it makes such a difference to your day to day, which you can kind of attest to. Could you talk a little bit about how different it feels actually being able to navigate Lisbon in Portuguese?
Well, it's way more fun.
Right? That's a good
It
one.
is because everybody is they're so appreciative of the fact that you're trying to learn how to speak European Portuguese. And it's a hard language, but everybody wants to help. So I get into a taxi, and I had only been studying with you for 2.5 months, maybe. And the taxi driver, he just starts laughing. He said, "No, you don't speak English anymore." And he's saying a bunch of things to me in Portuguese, and I'm trying to keep up. And we just had this joyous ride to the wherever we were going. Um, I went into a mobile phone store in the mall because I have a Portuguese phone number now on my American phone. And so you can have dual numbers.
Mhm.
The gentleman there who was helping me didn't speak any English and let me know that pretty quickly. And I said I would try to speak in Portuguese, which he loved. He was actually Brazilian. And
Mhm.
I needed to get a rock and roll song off of my phone. When you called me, some
Sure.
pop singer was singing, and I didn't want that. Cost more money every month too. Anyhow, we ended up talking about politics and Lady Diana and Brazil, and he didn't speak any English, and I was kind of new into the Portuguese land. So it just makes a lot of really fun, joyous encounters. The waiters in the restaurants around where we live, they all know us when we walk in. One of them in the beginning of our course said to my husband, "The next time you come in, I'm only speaking to you in Portuguese." And
Nice.
so every time we sit down there, he basically kind of makes it a Portuguese class. But we want that. Like we
Yeah.
encourage that. If we didn't want that, he wouldn't do it. But
Yeah.
we're here to, embrace the culture and become part of the culture versus
Mhm.
be Americans in Portugal.
Yes, I love that. And so many people were in your position where they think, but I've never learned another language before. I'm not good at languages. I'm not a
Mhm.
linguist. This isn't going to work for me. So I think it's so amazing to hear that from you as somebody who was in that position to now actually getting to this place where you're enjoying it and it's kind of fun every day. So I love that. So if you have just tuned in, I know we've got lots of people arriving all the time. So I'm here with my student, Emil, who is sharing her experience of learning Portuguese with me because we want to give you guys the confidence to do the same. She's gone from speaking zero Portuguese to navigating Portugal with great practical Portuguese, even navigating the hospital by herself, and making friends all over the place. If this is something that you want to do as well, then please go to talkthestreets.com/apply. We are accepting new students. We do have a little bit of a waiting list at the moment, but we would love to get your application to see if you qualify for an application call with me. And I would love you to join us inside the program because it's lots of fun. We're going to go on to talk a little bit more about the program itself and how it works. But if you do want to find out more, that is where you need to go. So you've gone from this place not being able to speak to now being able to be conversational around the city.
Right.
So how did this program help you do that? What are the steps that got
Yeah.
you there that you think would be helpful for other people to learn?
So I'm the type of person that I really needed a step-by-step program. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I can't just be told, well, learn Portuguese, just go on YouTube and you'll learn. And that's just not the way that I function. It is the way my husband functions, right?
Right.
So, and where I'm a perfectionist and I was worried about speaking, he's the kind of guy who's just going to say it all and, go for it. So we're very different learners. And so the fact that Talk the Streets has worked well for both of us, I think is a credit to you because we learn differently and yet it's working for both of us. So, the very first thing that you do in your class is to teach open vowels and closed vowels. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a really important aspect of the Portuguese language because they don't use open vowels very often. That's more Spanish or more Brazilian Portuguese. And so to be understood, that is a foundation. And I really feel that Talk the Streets provided a foundation and built upon each lesson, built upon the previous lesson. However, throughout the program, there are these dialogues that you can
Mm-hmm.
use. And the dialogues have been incredibly helpful. Not just the first time I hear them, but I've been able to go back and say, "Oh, she just conjugated a verb in the, past tense and um I didn't have to know that then, but now I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh, look at that. I can learn something new from, going
Yeah.
back and looking at it again." So, and the dialogues, when you meet somebody for the first time or you go into a cafe and you want to order something, um, there's just a whole bunch of different scenarios that you end up in your life, in just the regular life. And so I've been able to use a lot of those phrases, expressions where people think, "Oh, you actually speak Portuguese. Like
Because
saying,
there's a difference, right? There's like
totally.
text Portuguese, and then there's this really kind of natural Portuguese that you do hear every day in the cafe, right?
Right. And it's anyway, it was great because at one of these restaurants, I said something like, "No, I'm completely full, thank you." And the way I said it, he
Mm.
said, "Oh, that's a hard word you just said." I'm like, "Really?" Because didn't feel that hard to me, but okay.
But
No,
that's the thing, it just starts tripping off your
yeah,
tongue, right? And especially with
yeah,
something like dialogues that we have inside the course. Basically, they're these short recordings by native speakers in these real life situations. And the beauty of them is that they are at normal speed, right? We don't slow it down for you so much that when you get into the real world, you're going to be lost, okay? But the thing is, because they're yours to drill, you can literally listen to them thousands and thousands of times until you can hear them in your sleep, so that when you are at the counter and someone says obrigada and you say obrigadeo and it just comes out and you're like, wait, where did that come from?
exactly.
So that's really awesome. Okay, so advice then, it sounds like so far, is making sure that you focus on pronunciation. Don't forget about that, in particular the open and the closed vowels, and also making sure that you're actually looking and listening to real life Portuguese,
Yeah.
not just the kind of textbook stuff.
I would say the biggest piece of advice I can give is patience
Mm-hmm.
because I don't have a lot of patience, and it's been hard for me, especially, and we'll get to my conversations with my language learning partner.
Mm-hmm.
This is so embarrassing, but one of the first times we spoke, I just got so emotional because I was so excited to meet her and I wanted to say so many things and I couldn't say them in Portuguese and it was driving me crazy. Um, but you just laugh about it and as time goes on, you can say more and more things.
Exactly.
But patience is difficult, but you can't jump ahead in this. Like you got to go through all the steps.
Exactly. We can't let you run before you walk. Okay, so let's move on then to your lovely language learning partner, Katya, because the real breakthrough I think that I saw in you when you were learning, this was such a turning point for you. And I remember the day that you posted in the community that you'd found someone and you'd done your first session. You were like, I could feel how much you were buzzing from the message you left. So for those of you who don't know, the final milestone in the Portuguese Pro program is to submit a 10-minute conversation, a recording of a conversation with a native speaker. So this is actually your graduation from the program. We don't give certificates or pieces of paper. We don't care about that. We actually care about you being able to speak. So this is the proof that we want. And you managed this. You submitted it at the end of last year. So tell me what it was like, the experience of finding Katya and starting up these weekly speaking sessions. Because I know for a lot of people, that is such a scary thought. They were just like, oh yeah, maybe she can do that, but I couldn't. So I'd love to hear more about that.
Okay, well, I already said I'm a perfectionist, and that might keep me from being able to move forward because I think I'm gonna mess up. Um, and I waited too long. Truthfully,
Mhm.
I should have done it 3 months before,
I
maybe
was
4.
telling you to.
I know, and you were pressing me, and then I had heard, "Oh, it's hard to find a language partner." Well, it was not hard to find a language partner for me.
Okay, a little louder for the people in the back. It's
It
not hard. Well, okay, it is hard. You do have to put yourself out there. But I
Yeah,
always say there's like 300 million Portuguese speakers in the world. You can definitely find one person to practice with. And I'll give some
yeah.
examples of how some people have found them. They've found them on Reddit, they've found them on Facebook in their local community. So people who are still living in the UK, somebody found a Facebook page called Portugueses in the UK and found somebody there. So there are so many ways to do this. But how did you do it, Emil?
So, I finally got up the nerve, and
Mhm.
when you get up the nerve, you better act really fast, otherwise you'll lose it, right? So, I texted, Mafalda, who is our realtor and a friend, and I said, "Okay, I'm late on this, but you happen to know anybody who's trying to learn English and would be interested in having weekly calls with me where I can help them with English, they can help me with Portuguese." And she immediately texted back and said, "My good friend and my partner, Katya, she was just asking me this. She also is trying to, help herself with English. And anyway, Mafalda was going to send Katya to England for a couple of weeks, and that wasn't going to do enough. And so I think it was like the next day, we were ready to meet the next day. And that was in September only of last year. And I'm so excited. Every time I speak with her, I'm happy the rest of the day. And
I love that.
I am so lucky because of the community I've been able to build with Mafalda and with Katya, and it's just amazing. And we teach each other expressions. I'll give an example. I needed to look up a word. She said a word, and I didn't know what she was talking about. So I'm like, I wanted to say, hold on, but I don't know how to say hold on. And so she taught me how to say hold on in Portuguese, but she didn't know how to say it in English. And so now we have this big joke where she'll be like, hold on. And it's continued, for months, because it's just one of those things that that we laughed really hard about. And there's been a lot of those. So it's just building on each conversation and getting to know each other more and more. And it's just been an incredible experience, and helps me feel more confident in speaking, helps her feel more confident in speaking. And I mean, you can ask her about it, but I know that she's been able to get out of her comfort zone as well.
Right. Because it's not you that's been benefiting from these sessions, right? It's helped her so much with her English, because I think this is one of the things that people worry about when they want to set up a language exchange like this. They don't realize that what they have to offer is so helpful, right? Your knowledge of English, your patience, your kindness, your understanding of how hard it is to learn a language. All of that is gold to her. So you're actually giving her something as special as what she's giving you, and you're able to help each other. So I just love that.
Well, and now every time I visit, I get to see my friends.
Right. You've made friends there.
Yeah. It's
and
amazing.
Your friend as well mentioned that I got to meet when we met a few weeks ago, actually said that also made her feel so much more safe and comfortable in Portugal, knowing that she had these friends of yours who are locals who she could call if you ever needed to, and you didn't need to in the end.
This is the friend that broke my leg, my friend who broke me.
Yes. Yeah. Oh gosh. So yeah, if this is all sounding really inspiring and exciting, I love to watch the comments here, and you want to do the same as Emil and study with me and get to this place where you can have long phone conversations with a Portuguese friend, then just go to talkthestreets.com/apply, where you can apply to join us. A member of my team will be in touch to set up an application call with you if we think it's going to be suitable for you. We would love to have more people join us. So this is a thing I want to add, Emil. This doesn't sound like hard work. This sounds like fun.
It's both. It is. I mean, you definitely, I try to do a little bit every day, and it doesn't have to be long. In fact, I find that it's more effective if it's more frequent, shorter periods of time. Otherwise, your brain can only take in so much. But it's so much fun that it doesn't necessarily feel like work when you're doing it, because especially if I can learn a few phrases and then I get on the phone with Katya and I can try them out.
Right.
And then it's fun.
Save space now to
she look at me, she go, oh, it's like, oh, there's a new one.
Fantastic. All right. Well, we are actually going to listen to a little clip of your Milestone 3 conversations. You are such a hero for letting us do this. And I also have a special message from Katya for you as well to play that I don't think you've seen.
I have not.
So I am going to go ahead, and first of all, the first thing I'm going to play is a clip from your conversation with Katya, so you guys can see how well Emil's Portuguese is coming on. Remember, this is completely off the cuff. She doesn't know what they're going to be talking about. She's just chatting spontaneously.
There was no preparation for this.
Right. And that's what is so great about it. Let's take a listen.
O seu namorado e a minha mãe estão aqui por uma semana. E agora preciso de ir ao supermercado.
Às compras. compras, sim.
Às compras, sim.
Sim. Como eu percebo. Aqui em casa somos 4. Mas o João e a Sara comem muito. Os dois.
Podia
João,
repetir,
principalmente.
podia repetir sobre João.
João e a Sara comem muito.
Sim?
Sim.
Fantastic. So you can see how you guys just laugh and chat, and you have so much in common, actually, which is really, really awesome. So let's also take a listen as well to the message that Katya left for you. We've put English subtitles on these as well, so anybody who doesn't yet speak Portuguese, which is probably a lot of you, will be able to understand and follow. But yeah, let's take a listen and meet Katya.
Kátia, eu sou de Sintra e conheci a Emil através de uma colega que nós trabalhamos juntas, temos uma empresa que se chama Hazel Real Estate Portugal e no fundo o que nós fazemos é ajudamos os clientes a comprarem casa em Portugal e a estabelecerem-se cá e viverem. Para isso eles precisam de aprender português e eu precisava de aprender inglês, portanto vimos aqui, por que não, uma oportunidade de partilharmos conhecimento as duas. E tem sido incrível. Portanto, também não é difícil. A Emil é uma pessoa espetacular. Eu estou muito grata, acima de tudo, por estar nesta experiência, porque sinto que ganhei uma amiga do outro lado do planeta. E eu estou muito orgulhosa da Emil, porque ela entende quase tudo quando falamos em português. Ela aprendeu português em muito pouco tempo. E a Emil tem sido incansável, muito paciente a ajudar-me e eu estou muito feliz com esta experiência. Queria agradecer à Emil, dizer que gosto muito dela e pronto, e é isto. Obrigada e beijinhos.
How awesome is that? How does it feel when you see how much you've also helped Katya?
Well, I'm getting completely
You
emotional.
are getting emotional. Me too. Stop. Don't cry.
I hadn't seen that. And she's just such a beautiful person, and I just am so lucky. I'm so lucky to know her.
Oh, I just love this so much because,
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. Like, it's really beautiful to see how much you two have connected because honestly, when people talk about language learning and they immediately think of textbooks and filling in the blanks and listening to a CD, like it just turns people off so much. And what I want people to know is that learning a language isn't about any of that. It's about relationships like the one you've built with Katya, which is just so awesome. And I'm genuinely just so proud of you. And so much love in the comments as well about how inspiring you are for everybody. This is so amazing, Emil. So before we wrap up, I won't keep you too much longer because you've been so amazing. We've already talked about some advice that you have for people who kind of want to get started. Is there anything else you want to share that you think is really going to help people make a good step forward?
You just got to do it.
Right. That's such a good piece of advice. Get on with it.
You can think about it, but if you want to do something, you get in, you put in and you get out, but you have to put in the effort to get out any progress. Right. You just have to do it. And you just have to know that you're going to sound like a baby, a toddler for a long time, and nobody cares but you.
Yes, that is such a good piece of advice because this is the thing. Stopping before you even start is such a shame. But if you just manage your expectations of how it's going to feel for a while, it's going to feel a bit uncomfortable and clunky for a while. But what's waiting for you on the other side of that are these beautiful, amazing experiences that you're kind of having right now. So I love that advice of just getting started. And what about Portuguese Pro? Would you recommend that?
I recommend Portuguese Pro all the time. I can't imagine a better program to help people feel comfortable speaking everyday Portuguese. So I'm incredibly grateful. And I love the learning community, also your other students, because we all chat and share experiences and we're there for each other as well. So the community that you're building is with the other students as well, who happen to move and live all over Portugal. So you always have friends everywhere. Even if you haven't met them, you've met them online, right? And so it's an amazing program, and that's credit to you, Liz.
Thank you so much. This is brilliant. So I'm so excited. I have actually seen some of our other students in the comments as well.
Oh,
so
good.
For being here, guys. Yeah, I can see
Nice.
Karen, I can see Annalise, I can see Danny. So that's really, really cool.
Right.
So that's awesome. I mean, we're at our 30-minute mark, so that is all we have time for. But thank you so much for joining me, Emil. I know you've inspired a lot of people today. And so if you guys listening want to do this too, if you want to be able to speak Portuguese, make friends, and have an awesome time like Emil has done so far in Portugal, please go to talkthestreets.com/apply. That's where you can submit your application to join us. We do have a little bit of a wait list at the moment, but we are getting through the applications as soon as we can. So if you're approved, you'll get on an application call with us, and we would love to have you and to teach you. So with that, I mean, just soak up the comments, Emil. Everybody.
I haven't looked at any of the comments.
We'll look at them afterwards. Everybody is saying, congratulations, you're such an inspiration. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure, and I'll see you at the live sessions this week or sometime soon in the community.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody.
Obrigada. Ciao.